Sometimes I get lost for words. And the reason why I get lost for words, because I spent a lot of years studying human behavior, what makes us operate, why do we think the way we think, why is it difficult for us to change the way we think, why have we settled for the illusions of life as the reality of life. I spent a lot of time internally diagnosing the things that I've suffered from so that I can learn how to escape them and help you escape them as well. Unfortunately, we live in a reality where it's super duper tough to escape the illusions of happiness. See, we bog ourselves down with these ideas, these concepts, these ideologies, that these things that we've learned to practice are our true divinity and our true divine nature, when in reality, it's not. It's the illusion or the perception of. And we live in a reality now where we live perception and not divinity. Now, I've struggled, and I must admit, I've struggled waking up every day producing content. Real life content. You know, the content that really means something to move us really forward in our life? That's the content that I've struggled to make because I'm up against the false delusions of happiness. No one wants to hear the real reality of life until the real reality of life smacks them, right? That's what I'm trying to help you avoid because I've been through it. In my 46, almost 47 years on this planet, I've encountered an enormous amount of suffering, right? Which most of us do every day in our life. We encounter an enormous amount of suffering, right? And if you really think about that, is that the normality of life? Is that the way that we should be living? Or is that the way that we have accepted to live, right? And in the process of us accepting that reality of normalism, which illusions have become normalism, we have created these paradigms and these boxes to keep us in a temporary mode of happiness instead of a long-term state of mind of happiness. So in my struggles, I found it very difficult to wake up and produce content in a world that's full of great magicians. And these magicians come in every form imaginable. Your loved ones, your family, your friends, even inside of you. See, you don't realize that you've been practicing a false identity since you were born. You've never really learned your true identity. See, from birth, I know you don't think like this, but from birth, we all have been given the false illusions of happiness. We all were brought up underneath the curriculum and the ideologies in which the world operates in, based on the culture and the demographic of whatever part of the world you're in. That's why you can see the basis of people's behavior. And their behavior starts out based on the cultural set that they're in, right? If you're an African, then you're going to probably be more than likely performing African cultural practices. And if you're Chinese, you're more than likely going to be practicing Chinese cultural practices. And if you're American, you're more than likely going to be practicing Western practices, right? Now, the reason why I say that is because our realities are based on what we have grown up in and what we are around and what we have experienced. So we develop all of our feelings and emotions based on the environmental upbringing that we have experienced. Now the whole world is connected through the World Wide Web. And that web is symbolic to a spider web, right? And what does a spider do? A spider creates a web so that it can capture its prey. And its prey can be a bug, right? That it can eat to sustain its life. But the reality in which we live in today, which is a digital reality in which the world is connected by the internet, right? Notice the word internet, right? You have the World Wide Web, which is collectively a world that is able to communicate with each other via internet, right? And notice the word internet, it's inner net, meaning you're interwoven of information, right? Which is Google based and all of these different ideologies and philosophies, right? That you have entangled yourself in, which is an internal web, internet, right? Because you've captured yourself inside of these false delusions of happiness and these curriculums and these societal infrastructures that you can only have discussion based on what you have learned, right? Now, hence why we have the world in which we have and why everyone is separate, unless you're dealing with the same cultural belief systems based on where you were brought up in. And if you were brought up in these particular cultural belief systems, right, you would have an easier functionality to be able to relate to someone that has come up with similar traits and identity, right? It's difficult for a Westerner to adapt a Buddhist lifestyle because it's not how we were brought up in, right? We don't sit back and study the human behavior and the mind and our connectivity towards the universe, right? So we blind ourselves with these illusions of curriculum and perceptions, and we create economy and stuff like that around it. Now, when you take the mindset of a monk, someone who is studying inner peace, divinity, and you take someone who is from the Western culture and you say, oh, we adapt some of those practices, but we'll do it on our terms and conditions, right? Let's go and take some of the practices from the Eastern way of living, bring it back over here to the Western, and then we'll put our spin on it by creating a culture around it, but it still has to produce economic gain for us. So in other words, the average person that's teaching you, let's just say yoga in the West, it's probably more than likely going to be some type of yoga program that is going to be able to produce some type of financial gain for them. And if you notice everything we do here in the West, we're great copycatters of the world and abroad. We go and we come back and we create a curriculum on it that we fully don't understand, but we'll do it anyway, and then we'll create an economic freedom for ourselves, right? So we'll get some information we may not really be versed on. We'll take it, we'll come back, and we'll put our own spin on it, and then we'll create a course on it, right? We'll sell it online. We'll tell someone this is what you need to do to gain peace. But in reality, the people that's teaching you that have not gained peace, they've gained the illusion of peace and a deception of peace to bring themselves financial freedom. See, that's why you have such a wide variety of people in this world, especially in the West, duplicating, right? The world is not that complicated to understand It is actually very simplistic when you have the divinity to pay attention to the things that don't spin you in this direction and that direction, right? You don't have the eyesight to be able to see through the illusions of happiness. And in my studies of life, I've learned some great awareness. And I'm going to bring you guys on that journey. If you're interested, and if you're not interested and you want to stay in the illusions of happiness, then you have to realize that at some point the gig is up, or the jig is up, as they would say. You're going to find yourself faced with those illusions of happiness that will ultimately run its course, and you'll find yourself not being able to maintain a long state of peace and happiness because it's not divine happiness, right? So now that I've went through this enormous amount of pain and suffering, I've also found myself being discouraged and wanting to just give up and not even teach anymore, not even help anymore. But there's such an awakening in me that I can't deny doing it. And I've denied myself true happiness by participating in the illusions of happiness, knowing that the end result would be unhappiness. My true divinity of happiness is to stay in purpose, to stay aware, and to not get caught up in the false illusions of happiness. That is where the true divine happiness stays. It is consistent, and it doesn't make me feel exhausted. It makes me feel exonerated to be able to escape those illusions of happiness. And I just want to share it with you, because I know there are so many people in the world that's suffering because they want to wake up and they don't understand why they're depressed or why they have anxiety and why they have a lack of motivation. It's because you're doing things against your divinity, but you may not know what you're doing against your divinity. You may think that what you're doing in your life every day is a normality, when in fact it's not, right? Your true divinity knows, it has an awareness to know that I shouldn't be doing this. I don't want to do this, but yet you accept it as a normal reality, so you continue to participate in it because you have no other information to help you get free, to stay within that true divinity. And this is what I want to help provide to you. How long does it take to be conscious? How long does it take to be aware? You already have those tools. You already know, because when you are spending time with you, that true divinity of awareness starts to illuminate the things that you know are not really making you happy. But you continue to accept them when you break outside of that isolation of yourself and you go back and participate with your friends, family, co-workers, your jobs, your careers, your producing of YouTube content, whatever it is that you're doing. You're driving in your fancy cars, and you're looking at your bank accounts, and you're selling your courses, and all of these things, they bring you right back into the trap, the illusion again. And you're getting these temporary dopamine hits all the time. They're temporary dopamine hits all the time, and you're just constantly infatuated with, oh, I need to produce more, I gotta have more, oh, I gotta lie to get me to this level. Do you know we live in a world full of deceit? Do you know that we live in a world of master liars? Do you know yourself that you've become the master liar? Oh, knock, knock, knock. Don't be surprised that you, who walk around saying that you are divine, that you are real, don't you know that you have become the master liar and master deceiver? If your life is based around some type of economic structure, some type of financial freedom that you have to obtain in your life, you are not naturally motivated as a person. You're not naturally motivated as a person. And we'll get back into that conversation, because I love to have that conversation, that no one is naturally motivated. You know why? Because there is something that is always motivating us. And unfortunately, we live in this Western hemisphere where finances, financial freedom is what motivates us, right? We want to get up every day of our life because we want to achieve our financial goals so that we can achieve something physical, intangible. But it's never the enlightenment of one's mind, the understanding of one's inner garments, the freedom to break free from the illusions of happiness. It is always, let me go, get my credit right, let me do good business, let me do these things that's going to allow me to sustain myself in this life, to be able to continue to play in this playground full of illusions. So if I go out here and I maintain a certain credit score, guess what? I'll be rewarded by people who can look at me and say, well, I'm trustworthy with the illusion of their money, right? So they'll give me the illusions of their money, right? I'll go back into this illusions of life to live this illusional fairy tale that I'm actually getting somewhere when I'm not. And I'll report back to them with a score that says, hey, listen, I paid my bills on time. I did these things on time. So guess what? Instead of you giving me a little bit of money, now you can give me a lot of bit of money, which is a lot of bit of illusion. A lot of bit of the illusion. Whether you realize this or not, money does not exist. It's only the idea that does, right? And if someone has taught you that the idea of something exists, and you don't have any way of really scaling that to analyze it, then you're always going to believe it. That's why I don't believe in anything, because to believe in something is to belie to myself. And I don't want to combine the word be, which is to exist, to be, and to lie is to be untrustworthy of something, whether it be to myself or someone being that to me. And I don't want to combine the word be and leave or lie together, because then I'll be creating these illusions to myself that these realities in which I think is real is actually false. And I'll continue to accept them to a point where they can only bring me happiness. So we're going to dive deep and deeper into these conversations of awareness. And I'm going to continue to produce, whether it's 1 like, 2 likes, 3 likes, or 3 million likes. I am not going to be discouraged anymore. I'm going to fight the battle, whether you want to be a part of the journey or whether you want to just turn the video off and go back to your illusions of happiness. So, with that being said, I am who you are. You just haven't got to that level yet.